Hi everyone. In this video presents levels of testing. The subject name is software testing. Okay. So first, say about the need for levels of testing. Okay. There will be 3 to 4 levels are available. First one is unit testing. Next one is integration testing. A third one is system testing, and final one is acceptance testing. These are all the 4 levels of testing at the system level. Performance, usability, reliability, and other quality related requirements. Okay. Um, Next, the approach is used to design and develop impact on testers plan and design suitable test. Okay, there are two major approaches to system development. First one is bottom up approach. Next one is top down approaches. Okay, at each level there are specific testing holes. Okay, for example, a unit test, a single component is tested. A principal hole is to detect functional and structural defects in the unit. Okay, so next one is at the integration level, several components are tested as a group, and the tester investigates component interactions. Okay, at the system level, the system as a whole is tested, and a principal whole is to evaluate attributes such as already said usability, reliability, and performance. Okay, for both type of systems, the testing process begins with the smallest unit of components to identify functional and structural defects. Okay, after the individual components has been tested, every individual components has been tested. Okay, and any necessary repairs made, they are integrated to build subsystems and clusters. Okay, these are all the basics levels of software testing. Okay, unit is the smallest possible testable software component. Okay, it can be characterized in several ways. For example, a unit in a typical procedure oriented software system. Okay, first one is performs a single cohesive functions. It can be complied separately. Okay, it is a task in a work breakdown structures from the manager's point of view. Okay, it contains code that can fit on a single page or screen. Okay, so these are the basics of levels of testing. A unit is traditionally viewed as a function or procedure implemented in a procedural programming language. Okay, a unit may also be a small sized COTS component purchased from an outside vendor. What does mean by COTS? Commercial of the shelf. Okay. If the system is being custom made for an individual client, then the next step following system test is acceptance test. Okay. So, final one is acceptance test. Okay. Next one is unit test planning. Okay, unit, it is also difficult to define a unit for object oriented code. Okay, some researchers argue for the method as the unit since it is procedure like. However, some methods are very small in size, and developing test harness to test each individually requires a large overhead. Okay, so unit test planning is very important. A general unit test plan should be prepared, and components of the master test plan, it is maybe prepared as a component of the master test plan or a standard plan. Okay, it should be developed in conjunctions with the master test plan and the project plan for each project. Okay, uh, documents that provide inputs for the unit test plan or the project plan, as well as the requirements, specifications, and design documents that describe the target unit. Okay, components of a unit test plan are described in detail the IEEE standard for software unit testing. Okay, a brief descriptions of a set of development phase for unit test planning is found below. In each phase, a set of activities based on IEEE unit test standard. Okay, Here, three phases are available. First phase is describe unit test approach and risk. Okay, in this phase of unit test planning, the general approach to unit testing is outlined. Okay, the test planner or identifies the test risk. Okay, next describes techniques for designing the test cases for the units. Okay, next one is describes techniques for data validations and recording of test result. Okay, final one is the fourth one. Describes the requirements for test harness and other software that interfaces with the units to be tested. For example, any special objects needed for testing object-oriented units. Okay, during this phase, the planner also identifies completeness requirements. What will be covered by the unit test and to what degree? Okay, such as states, functionality, control, and data flow patterns. Okay, the planner also identifies termination conditions for the unit test. Okay, these are all the first phase describe unit test approach and risk. Okay, so next phase, second phase represents identify unit features to be tested. Okay, this phase requires information from the unit specification and detailed design descriptions. Okay, the planner determines which features of each unit will be tested. For example, functions, performance requirements, what are the states, what are the state transitions, what are the control structures, messages, and data flow patterns. Okay. So next, if some features will not be covered by the testers, they should be mentioned and the risk of not testing them be assessed. Okay, so input or output characteristics associated with each unit should also be identified, such as variables with an allowed ranges of values and performance at a certain level. Okay, so this is the phase 2. Okay, identify unit features to be tested. Okay, so next phase represents add levels of detail to the plan. In this phase, the planner refines the plan as proceed in the previous two phases. The planner adds new detail to the approach, resources, and scheduling portions of the unit test plan. As an example, existing test cases that can be reused for this project can be identified in this phase. Okay, unit availability and integration scheduling information should be included in the revised versions of the test plan. Okay, any special tools required for the tests are also described. This is the phase 3, add levels of detail to the plan. These are all the test planning. Okay. Mm. Next one is designing the unit test. This is the important topic. Part of the preparations work for unit test involves the unit test designing. It is important to specify, okay, the test cases, including input data and expected output for each test cases. Okay, the test procedures, steps required run the test. Okay, these are all the unit test designings. Okay, he arranges the components of the test cases into a semantic network with what are the parts, what are the object ID, test case ID, purposes, and a list of test cases steps. Okay, as part of the unit test designing process, developers or testers should also describe the relationship between the testers. Okay, the suits can be defined that main related testers together as a group. All of this test design information is attached to the unit test plan. Each of these items has component parts in the test design specifications. BED also includes a list of relevant states, messages, expectations, and interrupts. Okay, as part of the unit test design process, developers or testers should also describe the relationship between the testers. Okay, test cases, test procedures, and test suits may be reused from past projects if the organization has been careful to store them so that they are easily retrievable and reusable. Okay. Next, test case design at the unit level based on the black box testing and white box testing design strategies. Okay. Considering the relatively small size of unit, it makes sense of focuses on white box test designing for procedural or functions and the methods in a class. Okay, this approach gives the testers the opportunity of exercise logic structures and data flow sequences or to use mutations analysis. Okay, some black box testing is also done at unit level. However, the bulk of black box testing approaches is usually done at the integration and system level and beyond. Okay. In the case of smaller size COTS components selected of unit testing, a black box testing approach may be the only option. Okay. So these are all the designing the unit test. Okay. Thank you.